hasn't dreamt of flying like a bird? Today's birdmen think they have found the solution.
All out!
But it still takes a true pioneer to join the birds in flight.
I'm flying above Africa's Rift Valley on an expedition to attempt a journey by air that's never been tried before. In a sense, it's pushing the limits of adventure in a way that goes back to the days of the early pioneers.
We are also blazing a trail through African skies. We're using microlights, perhaps best described as a motorbike with wings. They look pretty flimsy, but are capable of serious journeys.
A message to Ben that if he towed a pilot a third of the way into the lava, that they could cross it.
Richard Meredith-Hardy, one of our pilots, flew the first microlight from London to Cape Town in 1985. They can take off and land just about anywhere. The perfect expedition flying machine. Hang gliders have no engine. It's a purer form of flight, but up until now, you had to launch them from a hill to get airborne. We've come to Kenya to change all that. Using a brand new technique, we hope to glide for 400 miles down the Rift Valley, from the deserts of the north to Kenya's southern border. If it works, we'll be as free as the birds, able to fly from wherever we choose. It's an aviation first. Expedition leader Tim Hudson.
Nobody's ever tried to do anything like this before. To take 4 hang glider pilots simultaneously over 400 miles in relatively unknown territory is a real challenge, a real significant challenge.
The expedition members are some of the best. Louise Anderton of the British women's team, Mark Dale, UK national coach, and Judy Leden, the world women's champion. The aero-towing pilot is Ben Ashman. Without his machine, the gliders cannot fly.
It's a bit nerve-wracking because anything new really is a bit of a wind-up, but it should be okay. I've gone through it all with Ben and Mark.
Can you mind your heads, please?
The technique is banned in England. A cord is attached to the front of the glider pilot's harness. The other end is fixed to the microlight. In theory, the microlight will drag the glider off the ground. There are plenty of risks.
This really is the moment when the tension is starting to get to me. I find myself thinking about what could go wrong. No one has ever tried what we're doing here. It really is pioneering stuff. If we get it right, we're going to fly through Africa. If we get it wrong, one of us could die. It's as simple as that.
Aero towing is launched for the first time in Africa.
We have to be running quite fast. I'm not quite sure what the speed is, but it certainly feels quite fast. But it's a very powerful trike, so with any luck, it'll only be sort of half a dozen paces.
Today is the first day of the whole journey. OK, it's not anything historic, if you like, in terms of the distance, but at least we've got away from our start point. Everybody's got away safely, and it's absolutely brilliant. A lot of relief. It's great. Let's just hope it continues like this.
Once up in the air, the cord is released. The glider is free to fly across country. Miniature cameras on board mean we can fly with the team as they journey through Africa. So far, the pilots are happy with the new technique, but the machinery is not.
Although the radiator's a relatively big radiator, and for normal microlighting this is totally sufficient, but for aero towing it seems to be that there's just not enough air passing through. The only option that we've got is by getting a bigger radiator so that we've got a greater volume of water going through.
So there's absolutely nothing we can do today?
No, not using it anymore.
And probably not tomorrow either.
No, until we get a car radiator, a bigger radiator.
Are we sure that
We've
that's,
had it
even that's going to work?
No.
So what are we going to do you think? What are your options?
We've only got one, which is a bigger radiator. We've got to get the thing cooling. If we can't solve it, we're going to have a blown-up engine.
Bloody hell.
Ingenuity is the only solution, and Chief Bodger Richard Meredith-Hardy has got plenty of that.
It's not often that people fly things in this sort of temperatures, really, I guess, and we'd run into trouble. But I think it'll be all right. We've got a bit of swimming pool hose. I think it'll be all right. I hope.
Will you look at that? That is absolutely awesome.
This is the first big aero towing expedition that there's ever been, I think. It's really exciting to be part of it. I've always wanted to fly in Africa.
That feels good.
Okay, coming off.
Wow, what a view from here. Just amazing.
The trick in flying across country in a hang glider, it's all climb and glide. You've got to find lift and get high. Once you get high, you're gliding off in the direction you want to go, but you're coming down quite fast on a hang glider, 200 feet a minute or something. Even at 10,000 feet, you're probably only 15, 20 minutes away from looking for a landing field, so you're always looking for your next bit of lift. We call it following the energy.
For me, the excitement is to be able to fly the same route as the migrating birds, and it's such a wonderful way to do it, to land one place on one evening and then fly away again in the morning. It's just such a lovely concept to be almost self-sufficient. Yes, we need the tug up, but to actually achieve your goal each day and just move progressively onwards. It's a really exciting thing to do.
It was really quite an amazing flight. I've broken 2 personal bests today, gone through 11,000 feet above sea level. And at that point, I was holding the bar, which is flying the glider as fast as I can, right down here. And you're still going up at 1,000 feet a minute. And it's absolutely, it's just amazing. It's rocketing up.
Down below, I can see our backup vehicle, already heading for our next target. Our arrival in Lodwar, northern Kenya, causes a similar stir.
What's your name?
My name is Joseph.
Joseph?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Ben.
Each day we see a new group of smiling faces around us, people who are curious, friendly, and incredibly helpful.
The biggest shock to me is that we've had children either side of the runway, literally up onto the edge of the runway, and complacency's drawing in at the moment. We could have quite a nasty accident if the tow line catches anybody.
What have you done? What's happened? What happened?
The line still attached to the track across the weak links keep going, and it's gone right through the sail.
This is the culprit here. Unfortunately, Louise had her glider far too close to the runway, and the tow line swung round and hit the rear of the sail.
It's not a clean tear, so it's not just a straightforward job. You just can't run a sewing machine up it anyway.
Needs a patch.
Needs patching. It's not far short of a full glider strip down. And of course there are plenty of sail repairers out here in the middle of the desert in Kenya.
Okay, this is the trickiest part of the sail we're doing now, which is the undersurface. We've now got to sew from here to here.
With its wing repaired, Louise takes her glider for a test flight. We're back in business.
I'll leave you to it, Luby Lou. I'm coming out.
Okay, will do.
The conditions are very good. The conditions are very good. Gonna get out of here.
Yeah, well, I'm directly above the strip, so we're released really over the end of the runway, and the drift is just nicely in the direction we want to go today.
That makes a change.
The conditions are so good that the team are breaking personal records almost every day, regularly climbing over 2 miles high. A stopover at the Enduro Country Club, unchanged perhaps from the days when the early aviators dropped in.
Go and get a drink.
Hey, get a load of this place.
That's amazing.
Old colonial Kenya.
Good grief. You'll find my granddad in here. Thrown out, Ian Chucker McKeith, as told to Ian MacDonald. Good grief. There's a man.
Air race.
So it must have been a fairly active flying club at some time.
Lewin Cup. Who won it? Let's say anyway.
It's trapped in a time warp, this place.
Good God, there's the biggest bird stack you've ever seen. I'm going for it.
Judy Leden is twice women's world champion, and certainly the experience that she's got is incomparable with other female pilots. Without question, the world's #1. She's flown all over the world, but I really do believe that to see the look on her face, the tones in her voice, she's never done anything like this, and I think that this Africa trip really has got to her. It really is something special.
I've always heard that once you've been to Africa, you fall in love with it. And that certainly happened to me. At the beginning, we had so many problems. But we got over all of those, and now we're really in the swing of it. And every day brings new experiences. It's a wonderful, wonderful place.
At 7,000 feet, the air's too thin to launch by foot. So a new contraption appears out of nowhere. Are they really going to trust their lives to this? It looks to me like a glorified supermarket trolley.
The pilot's going to be in a lot of pressure today. We've got about a 25-mile section, 6 miles of which is covered by track. The rest of it is like this, to the extent that it's bush. We're very lucky here to find this area. We mapped out a short strip, so there's a lot of pressure on these guys today. Not far off do or die, if you like. Sounds a bit dramatic, but it really is not far off that.
Well, this is the weirdest feeling.
Don't zip up.
What we're actually doing here is something quite new. So we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know the risks that are involved. There's no precedent for this.
Another small step has been taken in aviation history. Towing hang gliders into the air is a brand new expedition technique. But when you try something new, there's a fine line between getting it right and getting it wrong.
Okay, all out, all out. Weak links gone.
The team are doing so well that they are now within an ace of becoming the very first expedition ever to hang glide the Kenyan Rift. Despite the occasional prang, the Dacron Eagles expedition has cracked one of the great problems of hang gliding: how to get airborne when there isn't a hill to jump off.
You've got to climb, you're not high enough yet. You're not 1 mile out, you're about 5 miles out, and you definitely need more height. You won't make it from there.
It hasn't always been a smooth ride.
I can't remember ever having flown anywhere where I've been so far from a safe landing.
With 200 miles behind us, our luck has so far held. But each day brings new hopes and new fears. My own journey with the Dacron Eagles through Kenya has also reached a critical stage. 200 miles of the Kenyan Rift still remains between here and our goal near the Tanzanian border. Expedition leader Tim Hudson.
Well, we have a section today which is about 35 miles, but certainly from what we've seen so far, this is definitely the most dangerous. Double thorn bushes, these thorns here, 2-3 inches long, bushes 15 foot high. Mark yesterday landed through a thorn bush and it's made a fair old mess of his legs. Looking at the terrain, we think that if you're more than 100 yards, 200 yards from the road, to put it bluntly, you've had it. You're just not going to get out.
Can somebody get the kids off the runway? Get them off, Albert! Okay.
Each morning, Ben Ashman, one of our 2 microlight pilots, tows the hang gliders up into the air.
OK, Luby, let's go for it.
Go. Releasing now.
No, don't release.
Sorry.
Pull in, hard, now.
While the hang gliders fly across country, the expedition truck moves off to set up the next camp. The microlights are then free to scout the route ahead.
Hello, Richard. What's your feelings on the wind rotor off the edge of the crater? Over.
Seems to be about 10 knots on the outside. I know we'll give it a go. It's still early.
They approach Mount Longanot, one of the volcanoes of the Rift Valley. They've heard that wind conditions can be dangerous here and that the last light aircraft to enter this crater is still there at the bottom.
I'm a little bit concerned I'm not going to get over the lip.
You're a bit on the low side, Ben.
Whoa!
It's definitely not a good place for gliders, this.
Let's head back to base, tell the hang gliders it's not really on.
Are you following me, Tim?
Negative. You're going the wrong way, Lou.
I'm heading for this cloud.
Well, I'm going in exactly the opposite direction to what you are.
Well, where are you then?
Come on. Give me it. That's it. Where are you now? Come on. Gimme. Whoa.
Yeah, I suggest you stop talking on the radio and concentrate on what you're doing.
I sometimes wonder why I do this.
In his search for thermal currents, Tim is separated from the other flyers. He heads off on his own. Meanwhile, Judy and Louise are having problems too.
OK, Luby, stay with us. Don't wander, OK? Don't wander off.
Got that.
But Louise loses height quickly and conditions are getting turbulent.
Yeah.
I've just been thrown out of the most violent thermal of my life. Louise, don't wander. Can't see either of you. I've lost a lot of height. I'm just struggling a bit now, so I won't say anything for a minute. Wow! Ruby, you all right? Over. Yeah.
3 of the gliders are accounted for. Louise is retrieved from the bush, and Mark and Judy finally make it to the landing strip.
It had been such a long period of stress, 5 hours of not seeing a landing field, that seeing the goldfield in sight was just wonderful. I was pretty tired, but really happy. I was going to die! Well done. Oh, well done, mate.
Okay, I've been down about half an hour now. I'm in a little plain in the middle of the bush. I haven't got much water. I've got a bit left here, which I'll have to go spare on. I'm hoping that the microlights will come out and try to find me over the next half an hour, I would expect to see them within that sort of period of time.
The search for Tim begins, but as his radio is down, we have no idea where to start. Even more worrying is that this is big game country. Tim has come down in a region known for its wildlife, and he may attract the attention of a passing lion.
I'm now beginning to think that there must be predatory animals around here. We're told that there are lions and these sort of things around. I've heard one or two noises in the bush, and for the first time, to be honest with you, we've laughed and joked about it previously, but for the first time, it does look like a real concern.
All hands, including me, are drafted into the search. Unknown to us, Tim's camera is still working.
So I'm going off to make a fire, and we'll maybe do a little bit more on the camera a little bit later. Okay.
It's very difficult to spot a downed hang glider. If the hang glider has been collapsed or damaged or is at an obtuse angle to an overflying aeroplane, and if it's gone down in the foresty areas or the wooded areas, it can be totally invisible. So with Tim's radio down, it's very difficult. So obviously, if we don't find him, then there will be quite a bit of concern.
Yeah, there's no sign, Luby. I think we're going to have to pack it in tonight.
Okay.
Tim Hudson is found and safely brought back from the bush. But the expedition's problems are by no means over.
Just devil! Just devil! Get on that glider over there. There's nobody on that glider. Ben, have you got that camera? Try that. Put that bloody camera down. Get on the trike.
Ben, the trike's going to go. Somebody grab the trike.
It's turned. It's turned back on your gliders. Quick.
25 miles from it. We've flown, I don't know, just about 360 miles. We could do it from here.
A dust devil or whirlwind has wandered through the camp. It has picked up Ben's microlight and dumped it upside down. It's the only machine we've got which is equipped for towing.
I don't think I'd let Ben fly it with the centre plates straightened, because if you strain a piece of metal it weakens it. Some of the conditions that we've had are as rough as I don't know what, so you can't really fly, in my opinion, with something which is weakened. So therefore we've had it. 25 miles from the end. What can I say?
I mean, we're just really lucky that if it's got to happen, it's happening now. It's happening now rather than at the beginning.
It hasn't been a lack of skill or anything. I mean, that's just.
Well, that's why I'm bloody fuming about it.
There is just a chance they can fix the damaged machine.
Okay.
Ben, the microlight pilot, persuades Tim it's worth a try. They're too close now to give up.
It's a bit of a gamble. We are so close, we've come so far. Given the fact that Ben seems to think that it's possible, then we're going to at least go for a test flight. If that works, then we'll go for it.
The test flight goes without a hitch. The microlights fly off to recce our final target, the soda pans at Lake Magadi.
I've been having the time of my life. I mean, apart from what we've achieved in pushing and pioneering aero towing in conditions like this, and the idea of the migration, there's a camaraderie in the flying together to goals every day has been absolutely incredible. I'll never forget it.
All three of our expeditions faced the threat of failure. Thanks to their skill and good fortune, all of them lived to tell the tale. Perhaps that is the greatest success of all.
Nobody's ever tried this before. I'm sure that we set a precedent. And people are going to have to work damned hard to beat this, I'll tell you. So if there's anybody out there who wants to go and have a go at it, you're more than welcome, I'll tell you. Brilliant. Marvellous.